As you're well aware, I have multiple sclerosis. I've had MS for 40 years, and when I came down with it, I couldn't walk. And I was not going to let that deter me to be successful, nor hamper my family life.
Hey everybody, my name is Tom LaFaso. This is the Follow the Winners podcast. Today I'm here with a special guest, Gary Carpenter. Gary was introduced to me through a client that I got a little over, actually about a year ago, I would say. And he's been great. He's been awesome, a really awesome person to meet and have in my life and introduced me to all these great people. So I'm super excited to have him on here. So I have Gary with me today. Gary, please introduce yourself. Let everybody know who you are.
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you, Tom. My name is Gary Carpenter. Tom's guest this morning. I am the president and owner of the top home healthcare consulting firm in the state of New York, Gary Carpenter Associates, Inc., based in Smithtown.
Awesome. So yeah, Gary, it's like I said, it's great to have you on here. Basically, the first thing that I like to just kind of break the ice with everybody and just jump into Follow the Winners, the name of the show. So I like to ask everybody to break the ice is, what does success mean to you?
That's a very pondering question, Tom. People say that success is based on monetary. I don't believe that. Success is based upon your ability to be able to do something that helps a lot of people, growing a company, and being well known in the community.
I mean, I like that. It's a solid answer, I would say. Does it mean more to you, success? I mean, you're saying a community. Does that have something to do with your family as well?
When I look at community, the biggest part of my community is my family.
Mm-hmm.
My wife, Patty, and my 5 children, Danielle, Alyssa, Michelle, Kenny, and Ryan. Everything I do in life is involving them. My business growth permeates to them.
Mm-hmm.
Through that growth, I'm able to do things for them, give them the notoriety of their dad, at many different events. So that's why I'm talking about community. Community starts with the family and everything around in Smithtown.
Yeah. But you obviously are outside of Smithtown. You are much larger than that. Even though I think everybody in Smithtown that is a business owner probably knows you at this point, just because you've been doing it.
The reality, Tom, is yes, I'm based in Smithtown. That's where the corporation's based.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 other offices. Everybody works hybrid. The nurses who work with me as well as the operations people. But yeah, we're New York statewide, recognized as being the leading management consulting firm in the home health care industry in New York State. But yeah, I'm more than just Smithtown.
Mm-hmm.
Smithtown is my community, though, Tom.
Yeah. No, I know. I mean, I've come out there so many times now and been to great events and really enjoyed myself. And like I said right when I started this, you've introduced me to some amazing people, and I'm extremely grateful for that. All right, cool. So I like asking people about success because I think everybody has a different definition of it, which is very interesting to me. It's why I started this podcast, because I'm interested in how people look at life. Like, how does everybody look at it? And then what are the similarities between how everybody looks at it? Because even in, like, we could say in a broader spectrum, like religion, for example, if you were to take all the religions and boil them down to what they are, they all basically are saying the same thing, for the most part, which is like love each other and things like that. So,
Tom, if I may comment.
Yeah.
You asked me that question before, and I kind of indicate success. A lot of people measure success by money,
mm-hmm.
Monetary growth. I'm not going to change from what I said for you. Is success to me is that Gary Carpenter, my company, is known within the community and the environment that it is in.
Which is important.
And that, to me, is success.
Yeah. No, I like that. I mean, It's kind of my own goal though with my own company, and probably a lot of people. Like a successful business would be to be known by the community that you're in. You know, like there are certain companies within this community where you'll see their branding everywhere you go. You know, you go to any event that's going on and it's like sponsored by this. You know, but you only see that in, let's say, like a place like Smithtown. You know. You won't, if you go outside that, it might not be, you know, but you can still build that. Obviously, you go outside the towns and it gets larger and larger. So I understand that a lot, actually. I do like that. That is success. So I think the next thing I have on here is just kind of going into a little bit more about you and your business. I feel like I've never really even asked you this question. I've known you for a while. Is like, tell me about your business, you know, like how did you get into it? Why do you do it? And, you know, what is it that you do?
Okay. Well, Tom, as you well know, I am a CPA.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When I came out of school, I went to the biggest accounting firm at that time, Big 8, Pete Mark Mitchell. Gravitated into healthcare, where I became a healthcare specialist. Began my CPA. Then I moved into consulting. Then I founded a niche. I founded a niche within the firm called home health care. I gravitated to it. I liked the concept because I was involved in hospitals and nursing homes. I liked the concept of care at home. Nobody else was doing it. None of my competitors were doing it. And I said, I'm going to campaign. I am going to develop my name in that industry. Left Pete Morrick and had an opportunity to work for the biggest home health care company in the nation, Quality Care Incorporated, a public company where I became their vice president of finance. On a lark, the owner, the founder of the company, Dr. David Scheinman, gave me a call and said, Gary, I know you don't know necessarily home health as much as other people, but we want you as part of our team. So I leave Pete Morrick on my way up to the partnership and go to work at Quality Care. Then we ultimately sold that company, which is very normal in a public domain. Then at that point, I founded my own consulting firm and really used everything that I did at Quality Care. Today, they're still my client, okay, because as part of my separation agreement, I had to move the company from Rockville Center to Ohio.
Wow.
Okay. And I successfully navigated that move. As part of it, they had said, we're going to be your client for life.
Wow.
Okay. So then I said I was going to stay in this world. And interesting, Tom, none of my competitors got into that industry. So needless to say, to this day, I have a lock in the industry. And then what made it interesting, Tom, I met a lady by the name of Patty. Okay, and I know you've met my wife, Patty. And what was she? She was a nurse that specialized in home health care. So the rest became history. I married a top director of nursing for a home health care agency. I'm on the business side of home health. There was a lot of good discussions, not always positive, because she comes from a clinical perspective. I come from an operation perspective. But to this day, my company is still very strong in that industry, even though I'm still involved with hospitals and, you know, assisted living programs, Tom. You know some of my clients.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm gravitating with them into their home health interests. And that's the world that I'm in right now.
Wow. I mean, it's an interesting story. It's I didn't know that's how you got from here to here. But it makes a lot of sense because you're right. I mean, there probably isn't a lot of people that are that direct into this industry. So that's really, really cool that you've been able to grow, you know, finding that niche. Is there a reason why you chose the medical industry? Like, do you like it?
Yeah. You know, when I was back to the Pete Morrick days, you had the opportunity to specialize in various different industries, banking, government, SEC, and healthcare. I really enjoyed working in the hospital. And in fact, Tom, when I was at Pete Morrick, I was the number 2 man at Central Suffolk Hospital, which today is called Peconic Medical Center. They had an arrangement with Pete that had me over there. In fact, they wanted me to leave Pete Mark and come there at the hospital. I wasn't ready to make that type of jump at that time.
Yeah.
But I found the healthcare industry to be exciting. You know, you walk at the hospital, you're working in the finance area, you walk in the hallways, and there's action. The emergency room, you know, there's a lot of activity, and that excited me. And then, of course, I met Patty, and to hear everything that she's gone through and at a daily basis, that was great.
Yeah.
So that's what kept me in that world.
Yeah. I mean, that's really cool, though, that you gravitated towards that. I mean, you're definitely right. There's a lot that goes on in a hospital, you know, and in those settings. I feel like I'm constantly learning things about this industry, and it's making me almost want to gravitate towards it in a sense.
Well, if I could comment on something else, when I look at today, one of my biggest clients, Tom, is your client.
Yeah.
Helping Hearts at Home. Okay? Kelly Lanson. I am her acting chief financial officer of her corporation. And we have a relationship that's a business relationship, but mostly friendship also.
Yeah.
She's good friends with my wife, Patty. Okay? But there's a situation that a finance person, myself, and a clinician come together, and we've grown the company. And Tom, as you're aware, we moved it to Florida.
Yeah.
Our second site in Florida.
Which is huge.
Yep, huge.
Huge. Yeah, I mean, so that's just one of, you know, the few or many people that you've been able to help out at this point. But yeah, Helping Hearts at Home is a great industry. It's a great company. And the thing that I like about it is the people that work there. You know, you, Kelly, everybody that's there is just so nice. It's been an amazing experience to be able to meet you and meet everybody and be around, be a part of the team, those kinds of things. That's what really I find as a successful business is the vibe that you feel the second you walk in through the door, how they make you feel. If there's any ever like negative aspects there, it's probably not the best place, you know?
You know, Tom, and from a business perspective, my company, we have many clients throughout the state. I have to feel that the CEO of the client appreciates having me involved.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's all I need.
Yeah.
I need that appreciation. I need to know that my team is good for their team, then vice versa.
Yeah. No, it's very important. But I think that's every business per se, right?
Yeah.
One of my other clients, we were just talking about it before, Sun Nation Solar Company, and I've said this to them many times when I go in there. They have such a great company atmosphere. The people that work there are always so happy. The boss, the guy who owns the company, he's just very, very nice, and they're always doing things for the people. And I always say to them, like, when I have my massive company one day, I want my employees to be just as happy as they are here because that's so important, right? So I love that. And even going further on that, actually, the next thing that I have on here is about winning in life. This is just a question that I ask everybody, and it doesn't have to be business related. It could just be life related, anything. But is there a specific thing that you could think of in your life that you've won at and that it maybe even helped you push forward or gain some confidence, anything like that?
Yeah, Tom. Yeah. As you're well aware, I have multiple sclerosis. I've had MS for 40 years. And when I came down with it, I couldn't walk. And I was not going to let that deter me to be successful, nor hamper my family life. My focus was to get better. Okay? Unfortunately, there's no cure for multiple sclerosis. The cure is to stabilize it.
Mm-hmm.
So in effect, I've cured it to best ability by stabilizing it. What I think is my experience from MS, has guided me to talk to people, my children, my 5 kids, okay, on the challenges in life that they're going to experience, and they could gravitate above it. Okay? So that brief experience, which is not brief, I've had 4 years and I will have for another 40 years, unless some miracle cure is, and it may come up. Okay? But I think that challenge, okay, far exceeds any business challenge that I've ever had. Business challenges I've had in the past, okay, and easily gravitated above them through my own skills to work as such there. This one was a tough one, Tom, very tough one. But luckily, and it was a life-changing event that occurred, okay, and luckily I was able to move forward. So my message to anybody in business, there is not a challenge that you as an individual cannot think about how to solve it, and move forward, okay? Because any challenge can be met.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
It really is. That's really powerful. But so your winning answer then is that you've won by curing or pausing, let's say, your MS. You know what I mean? And that is so powerful. Because I look at my everyday life and I can just be like, wow, this is so stressful. I don't know how I'm going to figure this out. You know, I want to grow. I want this massive company, but you've had the worst trouble, challenge. Yeah. Like a medical challenge is tough physically, mentally, and having to get over that is probably the biggest winning mindset that's out there. I just read a book by Tony Robbins recently, and he was talking about the mindset for people who are sick and how people can cure cancer by changing their mindset and maybe even walk in certain situations and things like that.
But Tom, I had a lot of help. Patty, my family, having a nurse as your wife helps tremendously. And she was the spirit, but also the man up there, the Lord.
Yeah.
Okay. I made a deal with him. I said, Lord, if you give me my opportunity to walk again, I will help people. All of a sudden, Tom, 8 years ago, a pill was created called Ampera. Okay? It's known as the MS walking pill. It works on 30% of people. 30%. Within 1 week, I got my full walking ability back. I couldn't walk, and then I was able to walk.
That's insane.
So what I've done is I speak to people on a regular basis and helping them through the challenge. I made a deal with the man up there, and he helped me, I'm helping him.
I love that.
Yeah.
I've recently heard a lot of people making deals kind of thing like that. I really have. And it's curious to me because I feel like when I was a kid, I tried making deals like that, but I probably never held my end of the bargain, That's probably where my downfall was. But like I'm right there with you. Like I believe in God and I'm a Catholic, like all those things. So it's powerful though.
Yeah.
And you are helping people, and I know that. I actually am one of those people that I feel is being helped by you, and I know that's like not even like you're even talking just in the multiple sclerosis, like how you have been able to help so many people and guide them and give them, the strength and the things that they need to hear.
But you know something? That's just one piece. I mean, when you look at Gary Carpenter, me, okay, yeah, we talked about my business. My business is successful. I believe in giving back to the community. I sit on the board of St. Catherine's of Siena Medical Center. That's time that I spent to lead them in the right direction.
Yeah.
I'm on various other nonprofit boards. You don't get paid for them. But what I'm doing is helping them help people. To me, that's very important.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was just actually listening to somebody the other day, and they were talking about how you should, I feel like I mentioned this to you when I saw you on Saturday, about 30% of your time or money, whatever it is, should be given back. And I like that. And I think everybody should give back 30% of their time. That's a lot, though, or if there's, out of 100 days, you're going to take basically 30 of them, you know what I mean?
Tom, I got a comment for you. You could do it.
Oh, yeah.
You could do it because of time management. There's a business theory that says you give the busiest person something to do, it's going to get done because of time management. Their mind is focused on 20 things, and they're going to get it done.
Yeah.
And that's the way I govern my life.
Yeah.
I'm involved in so many organizations, so many projects that I do it all through time management.
Yeah, I actually just went to a networking event and when they were all talking about time management
Yep.
and how important it is.
It is.
I have definitely feel like I've been struggling with it, but what you just said is exactly my life though. I have 20 things going on. If somebody needs something, I will find the time to do it.
Yeah, but Tom, one of the things you need to realize, it doesn't have to be you. It could be Nadine. It could be Bree in your team. In my team, it could be Andy, Barbara, or somebody else, Sharon Neiman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? These are people that I know I can rely upon so that I can do other things and just make sure it's being done.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be, Tom, you doing it all.
Oh, absolutely.
You got a great team here.
Yeah.
And I know your team.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you've met them now and the team is growing. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a big part of finding people you can trust and having them help you,
But, just a compliment to what you do, okay, Tom, your skill set in doing the videos and doing the interview is tremendous. I mean, didn't you educate me a week ago that you use drones? What did I say, Tom?
Yeah, you make me laugh. Yeah, Gary says that he thinks I'm a terrorist because I own a drone. I think he thought I had one of these like massive drones with like the propeller on the back, the ones you've been seeing on the news. Yeah, no, this is just one small one. But I mean, if you look at the videos in the Ukraine war, they have been using the exact drone that I showed you. They use it. They take this drone. Little side note for everybody: take this drone. There's a light on the bottom of the drone. They disconnect the light and they hook it up to this little latch that's got like a hook on it. So they disconnect the light and now the light's hooked up to this latch where if you press the light button on the drone, it disconnects the latch like this. So if anybody can see, disconnects the latch. So then what they do is they'll put a bomb to this and they'll fly it up in the air and they'll have like a mortar attached to the drone flying it. And then they just hit the button and the mortar drops and boom, it'll explode what's there. But it's literally the exact drone that I have.
Again, Tom, didn't I say this is kind of like terrorism?
I know. It's just, I saw those videos and I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's literally the exact drone that I have. I don't use it for those reasons though, obviously. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting what they have out there and what kind of technologies, and it's definitely a lot of fun. All right, cool. That was a great little side note there for everybody. I like this conversation so far because you already kind of gone into my next few questions, so I think we can kind of elaborate and go a little bit further in. So I just asked you about winning, and I think that was probably the best answer that we've gotten on the show so far. So we'll definitely make sure to check mark that one. So the next thing I like to ask a lot of people, this is like a lifelong question, I would say, but it honestly could probably even in the past 40 years of your life when you found out that you had MS. I like to ask people about core values or like cultural beliefs. And one of those that I just use this always as the example because I find it the easiest is growing up. My parents always kind of gave me this notion or this idea that money is really hard to obtain and it doesn't grow on trees kind of thing, and that, you can work these 9 to 5s, but you still kind of get paid like shit and yada, yada, yada. So I've had to grow up through my 20s at this point and have to literally reprogram myself to think differently and understand that that's not the case. It's just a matter of putting yourself out there, meeting people. It's not easy. No one's sitting here and saying it's easy. It's just, it's part of the process. Mm-hmm. So is there anything in your life though that has been like a value that you've had to change or belief?
Yeah, there is. Tom, when I was growing up, my father died when I was like 5 or 6 years old.
I'm sorry.
So I grew up, it was just my mother and I, and a devout Catholic, and she instilled the belief in me of Christianity and the fact, and she was a top banker for Chase Manhattan Bank. She would work all day, okay, and into the night, and making sure that everything was right for her son, Gary. Her focus was me in life. She would not remarry because she felt she was committed to me.
Wow.
Okay, and to raise me.
Yeah.
And luckily, I was very successful. Went to Adelphi, where I had an astonishing baseball career, and had my best job ever as a bartender in the Rathskeller. But be as it may, she taught me the importance of your belief and your importance of people, your friends. Rely upon other people because develop that friendship. Because again, I didn't have necessarily a father figure behind me, but I did have friends, very close friends. In fact, Tom, this past Saturday at the MS Walk, you remember? I think I introduced you to my closest friend, Bob Candela.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My lifelong best friend came in from Florida to be at that walk with me.
Yeah.
Okay. He is a good friend. And developing those type of relationships are very, very important. You know, so I look at value. Family values it was great for me. I try to instill it upon my kids, but at the same time, the value of good relationships, friendships. You know, and Tom, I look at you as being a good friend of mine.
Yeah, thank you.
You've been with me now for about 6 months. You've helped me in business. We've grown business together.
Yeah.
You've been a lot of fun to be with. Okay. And I think that's a big part of your professional growth.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have to obviously build relationships, be liked by the people you work with. I kind of say this, and I think it's kind of messed up, but it's the reality of life, that business, especially in business, I mean, in the job world, it could be a little bit different, but you want to start a business, you have to almost look at it like the popular kids in high school. That's personally how I think. Unless you like develop some kind of like crazy service or product that like people are just like, holy crap, look at that. That's awesome. Yeah, you could be anybody at that point. But if you're trying to grow like a service business, something that deals with public people back and forth, like you have to be a likable person.
Got to be likable and you got to differentiate yourself.
Absolutely.
Why would people go to you? Well, luckily, I'm like one of the only games in town.
Yeah.
Okay. So over the years, I've been able to grow. And keep in mind, Tom, I founded my company. I lived the American dream. I founded it. I grew it. Then I sold it. Sold it to a very big accounting firm where I went on to be the partner in charge of healthcare. So I made it at that point and then took it back.
Yep.
Years after and brought it back. Okay. And now I'm living that dream again.
Yeah.
Living that dream again.
I love that. I love that part of your story, though, that you bought it back after it all.
Best thing, I bought it back at no cost.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing, you know, and you get to buy back Gary Carpenter and Associates.
Yep.
Get to buy back the name.
Yep.
So cool. I love this. All right. So kind of going into the next thing, your answer on core values, cultural beliefs was just awesome. So far, this has been really, really good. We already kind of touched on the spirituality of things, but I want to get a little bit deeper into spirituality. It's been very important for me over these past few years. My grandparents raised me very Catholic, should I say. My mom and my dad definitely, they brought me to church and so on. But it was really my grandparents that kind of like forced it down my throat. As a kid, I was always just like, I don't really want nothing to do with it. Like, it just was like weird. But not until probably about like 3-ish years ago, I started just questioning things a lot more. It was just like, yeah, life is really interesting. And there's not a lot of explanations for these things. And I have used it to move me forward. I'm a big advocate nowadays on the like the angel and the devil on your shoulder, and the devil is those negative thoughts that are coming through that are like, you're not good enough, you know, you can't figure this out, whatever. And then you have the angel who's just like, you're doing great, keep going, don't stop, you know. And it's so weird how those flow of thoughts can kind of go through, and God and Jesus has been a great way for me to almost like solve that issue, because I can lean on them and be like, please help me. And it's worked very well. That's my own personal. But for you, is there anything spiritual that you use to move you forward?
Well, Tom, over the years, I've been very active in my church. Very, very active in my church. On the board there, I was on the pastoral council, which is 4 people that meet with the Monsignor on a bi-weekly basis to deal with issues within the parish.
Oh, cool.
Okay. And did that bring me any more closer to my religion? I don't know if that did, but it gave me a vehicle that if I ever had a concern, I know I could go to St. Patrick's Church, the Monsignor's there, okay, and talk to them. The good part is the values that I have in my Catholic faith are shared by Patty, my wife.
Mm.
Okay, we're both Catholics. We raise our children in a Catholic family. Okay, with the everything that needs to be done there. I mean, so we're very happy in our faith. We're very active in our church.
Mm.
So I just think from a standpoint of church is a big part of Gary Carpenter. Okay, and I'm the type of guy that makes sure every Sunday I go to Mass.
That's awesome.
Now it's a lot easier. Now you could go to Mass on TV.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely is.
So, but yeah. So to me, faith is very important, Tom.
Yeah.
Very.
I feel like that almost ties into the first question, though, about success and being a part of your community. That is being a part of your community, going to, your local church, meeting people.
And Tom, one of the other things to realize, I sit on the board of a Catholic hospital system.
Yeah.
Catholic health service.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that means anything, but I'm following the beliefs of the Catholic religion in my social area with St. Catherine's of Siena.
Yeah.
And
business.
It's a very powerful thing. And I know you go, Tom, to some of the St. Catherine's events.
Because of you, yes.
And so you're interacting. You could see at those events.
Yeah.
You have the priests there. You have the bishops there.
Yeah.
So it's a good group.
Absolutely.
To be involved in.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, any of those.
And Tom, I could tell you just one other thing where it's helped. I had a situation with my youngest son where he was going through a bad time. And I was with Bishop Bond. He's the head of Bonds. He's the head of St. Catherine's, of Dyson and Rockville Center, I should say.
Okay.
And it was that church service he was doing at St. Patrick's Church. After church, Patty and I went up to Bishop Bonds, who knows me from Catholic Health System. And I said, "Excuse me, sir." He said, "Gary, how you doing? What's up?" I said, "I got a little situation with my son." He took his pen out of his cloak. He said, "Write his name down." Wrote his name down, Ryan Carpenter. He said, "I'm going to pray for him that night." The next day, that situation was handled.
That's wild.
Wild, but true. True.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you got to get like a priest, bishop, somebody in your back pocket. Come on.
I don't know if
No, but that's awesome. No, I mean, the church that we go to right here is Our Lady Lourdes, and my grandparents were very, very, very involved in the church. My grandmother's been, she passed away about 3 years ago this summer, and this past Sunday, they literally mentioned her name in Mass. And with my grandmother, it's crazy because the way that the priest talks about her, it's kind of wild because he says that he came to the house and they spoke a bunch of times while she was very sick, and she wasn't afraid to die, which is very interesting. A lot of people get very, very scared that they're going to be leaving everybody, and my grandmother knew exactly where she was going, who she was seeing, and this priest is he's like, "I've only met a handful of people like this in life, and my grandmother was one of them."
Yeah.
Which is insane.
And relationships in the faith can help you also.
Yeah.
One of your other clients that I introduced you to, Brant's Funeral.
Yeah.
Okay. John.
Yeah.
Vigilante.
Yeah.
Okay. John helped when my mother passed, his family came and took her out of my house, and they are a very big part of us planning for my family, for Patty and I and children as time goes on.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, very Catholic oriented.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so our faith has brought connections, which have helped.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you meet all types of people. I mean, that's so important, though, within the community to have people that you can meet. I was actually telling someone recently that I'm almost envious of the Jewish community and the Islamic, I want to say, or Muslim community. Probably Muslim is the word I'm looking for. How their churches are so tight knit, and when people need things, it's all within the community. It's like, "Oh, I have someone for you," and I don't notice that nearly as much when I go to my Catholic church.
Right.
And I wish it was like that because it's so strong. It's like, no, this is the people we work with. I'm not saying that they won't work with anybody else. I mean, maybe in some cases they are like that, but I like that a lot. It's like, oh, cool. You can actually be around your community, and they'll help you. They'll help you grow in life. They'll help you if you have a business or if you have a need, whatever it is. So I do like that. I guess we could even jump in now, though, on the opposite end of spirituality and faith. I like to ask everybody about fear and what it means to them, and if you use it at all to move you forward. Obviously, I'm sure there was a time 40 years ago that you were very fearful. And have you been able to, like, I don't know, I feel like some people get filled with anxiety and stress, and that's fear just kind of like overwhelming them. Have you had like any success with?
Tom, very interesting you say that.
Yeah.
Because, yes, 40 years ago, I was feared.
Yeah.
Then I gravitated, okay. But then maybe about 8 years ago, I came down with trigeminal neuralgia it's called, and I may have pronounced it. But basically what it is, it's an intense pain that goes right to your brain. It paralyzes you. You can't walk, you can't talk, you can't eat.
Oh my.
And if you look in the newspaper or look on TV, look in the menu, it's the biggest cause of people committing suicide because of the intensity of the pain.
Wow.
Was I fearful back then? Yes. Because I was one of those who said, I can't deal with it. And luckily, okay, my neurologist, Dr. Patricia Coyle out of Stony Brook, who's my MS doctor, in concert with Northwell, they did radiation brain on my brain, okay? And they zapped me, Dom. You want to talk about fear, okay? To think about that you're going to be zapped in your brain. That was fearful.
Yeah.
The impact of that was they burned out the illness or whatever out of my brain, okay? But it changed my life again. It made me very weak. I couldn't do what I used to do in life. At that time, I was working for Markham, okay, headed their healthcare practice, and I couldn't do the nighttime activities because I got tired. Took away a lot of your strength. Okay, so again, another life-changing. I left Markham and pursued my own company again. But you talk about fear. I think in my life, the fear that I would have to say was yes, okay, 40 years ago, MS was a big fear.
Yeah.
7 years ago, when trigeminal hit, that was tremendous fear.
Yeah.
And if there's anything I'm very fearful of, is the future of my family. You know, Patty's my right-hand person. If my right-hand person is not there, I don't know what's going to happen to me. So am I fearful of that? I'm not fearful. She's in good shape. She has everything. She has her normal abnormalities, but she's in good shape. Okay? But I'm fearful what would happen if something happened to her. I'm also fearful of how I would react if something happened to any of my 5 children. Any of my 5 children. Because that's never happened to me before.
Yeah.
Yes, Gary Carpenter has experienced pain, suffering, you know, to the point of almost committing suicide. I've never seen that on the people I love. So that's what I'm fearful of, Tom.
Yeah. But how do you get through that? Is there like that pain that you had? Well, was there anything that you had to do?
Yeah. There was a lot of Patty was a very big. She was by my side the whole time. Because keep in mind, I was in nothing but pain. Nothing but pain. I couldn't talk. I would have a board where I would write down things. Okay. I couldn't walk. Couldn't do anything. And so basically, my belief, I did a lot of praying, had Patty on my side, okay, and I credit her, okay, for getting me through it. Because she navigated with all the medical community, with Stony Brook, with Northwell, to arrange for me to have the radiation therapy, okay, which was very different, very different, okay. You know, people have prostate cancer and they do zapping there. How many people have it in their brain? It was very different.
Yeah.
Okay, but luckily I credit my wife, Patty, for where I am today.
But that's also, I mean, from what you're explaining, Patty's like a guardian angel in your life, first off. First and foremost, But everybody needs
Also, it's funny, Tom?
mhm.
It's good to have her with me when we're driving. She has a parking angel on her shoulder. We get parking spaces wherever we go. We could show up one place and the place is jammed. All of a sudden, somebody's pulling out.
There you go. That's awesome. The power of positive thinking. That's what I say. Whenever I'm looking for a spot, I just close my eyes for a second. And I'm like, all right, come on, God, give me a spot. And sometimes it opens up. But no, I like everything you said so much because I mean, not everybody has family to rely on, obviously, which is tough. But Patty is somebody that you found in your life. It's not necessarily that she's like a blood relative to you. She's your wife.
She's my wife.
So that's amazing that we all have the opportunity to meet people out there that can help us and be those, guardian angels for us in our lives. I'm super fortunate to have my girlfriend in my life, and that's how I feel that I feel that she is somebody like that that's for me, which is awesome. And everybody should strive to find those types of people.
Yeah. Patty was introduced to me in college by her girlfriend, who was my girlfriend at the time.
There you go.
So
Wild
kept
ride.
it in the family.
There you go. Yeah. Nice. Learn a little bit about Gary in his college years. Probably reckless.
Ex Patty that.
That's awesome. No, I mean that's my takeaway from what you just said though, is that family and building continuously. I mean, like you said, from what you learned at a young age, is building those relationships with people, having people that you can rely on and know that they're there for you.
And Tom, it's important to realize that it's not just a point in time. It's continuous.
Yeah.
What I did, what you did, we did it already. Now let's move forward and developing new relationships, new beliefs, new success stories. Because I'm 68 years old. Well, 67, 68 this year. I'm going to continue with everything that I'm doing. I still have goals. I still have beliefs. I still have family. I'm going to continue. MS does not bother me. Okay, as you saw on Saturday at the walk.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't bother me at all. Okay.
Just for everybody to know, the walk we went to on Saturday was a monsoon. And Gary was still there, shaking hands, smiling, having a good time. I was there getting my camera equipment wet. It was fun.
But, so yes, growth doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Doesn't stop. So my message to everybody, young and old, is just to continue. Continue with your vision. Continue with your belief. And sometimes that vision changes. Okay, that's fine. But don't let your beliefs change.
That's huge. Yeah, I just heard someone recently say, don't yield. And that's kind of what I'm living by right now.
Yep.
It's just, and my grandfather always tells me too, never give up, never give up. The second you give up is when it all loses. And I know in like even, I think it's AA, they say, just one more day or something like that. One day at a time is what they say.
Alcohol Anonymous.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they say like one day at a time. And I think it's the exact same way for business, or life.
One of the things, Tom, you talked about beliefs. You talked about growth. Look at the other client, my friend that you're taking care of, Tony Marone.
Yeah.
Noted author of books on Christianity, stories. He's very successful in business, retired now. So he moved into his opportunity to take his faith and founded a foundation.
Yeah.
Of which I got you involved in.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's doing God's work through his mind, his ability to write, and his relationships. And he founded that foundation, which I believe you just started with Amazon with him, correct?
Yeah, we now have 3 books on Amazon for him.
And through that, he's going to be funding his organization,
Yeah.
which that money goes to the care of people who needs it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's all about suicide, and obviously that's super, super important. But it is about giving back. It is about also, I think, intentions, which is a big thing. Well, what are your intentions in life? I put a lot of intentions out there, and somehow I've met you, and you've introduced me to Anthony Marone, let's say, and like he has this foundation, and it's really interesting when you start speaking things and putting the intentions out there, and late at night when your brain is thinking about stupid things, to just bring it all in and be like, well, what are my intentions for tomorrow, this week, this month, this year, and really visualizing life. You know what I actually heard the other day? I want to bring this up. I don't, maybe you've heard of this, but this is the first I ever heard of it. And then I saw a video on it and I was like, wow, that's crazy. There's some like old experiment that someone did with rice, and they took 3 different things of rice. It's like a psychology experiment. And each of the rice they treat differently. So it's cooked rice. So they take cooked rice and they put them into bowls, like sealed bowls, and they'll label them. One of them is to be only spoken to positive. So they literally will speak to the rice, like actually talk to it. Another one would only be like yelled at and spoken negatively to. And the third one would be completely ignored. Like just, you don't even talk to it at all. You just completely ignore it. And you do this, I think it was a 90-day experiment, if I'm not mistaken. And at the end of the 90 days, the one that was, spoken to nicely, the rice was perfectly fine. The one that was spoken to meanly, the rice was literally black, like black. Like black rice. It's moldy and gross. And then the one that was neglected, same thing. It was like kind of moldy as well. Not as bad as the one that was like yelled at. It's just insane how it's rice, mind you. Like this is not a person we're talking about. We're talking about rice. And like it's a very controversial experiment, but the fact of the matter is how you talk to yourself on the inside is exactly what comes up into your life. And it takes 90 days for you to see those results, or 6 months, or a year, or 6 years, or whatever. But it's the compound effect.
That's a very good story, Tom.
It's interesting.
Good story. But doesn't have a theme, believe in yourself.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what I'm trying to get out of it, It's that in itself, I think, is just kind of how the world works, positive kind of rules the way of things. But yeah, it is self-belief, right?
Very good.
So yeah, I don't know. I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, I have all the questions that I went through with you. The few last things is, as far as like Gary Carpenter and Associates or any of the clients you're working with, is there anything new that is in your life that you wanted to talk about or bring up, or anything you're working on?
Well, I think, one thing, Tom, healthcare, there's always new challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important for firms like my firm to be on the cutting edge, to be able to talk to clients about the changes that are coming down and how they're going to impact. The changes that are potentially coming down in home health are numerous. Okay, we're going to a system called value-based, versus pay-as-you-go. Okay, and I'm not going to go into that. But it's important for companies like myself, my company, to be able to navigate my clients and what it means and how to best deal with it. The government constantly comes in with new regulations. Okay, how do you deal with those regulations in your environment? I'm an operations specialist by trade. Okay, so I could sit down with the C-suite. That's the CEO, COO, which is Chief Executive Officer, Chief Operating Officer, Chief Financial Officer. Get them at a table, and we talk issues. When I go to a client, I go there with an agenda, and the agenda carries many different areas to it. But a lot of times, I have all those players around the table, and we talk. Because what's important to the clinician is not necessarily important to the finance guy. They have to be on the same page.
Yeah.
The operations person just wants to make sure things work smoothly. But the operation person needs to be educated on those changes. So yeah, that's what it's all about. That's what my firm does.
I mean, that's awesome. It makes you stand apart from everybody else, right?
Yep.
That's awesome.
But, I say it makes me stand apart, but I got to believe other firms are doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Too. But I think notoriety in home health is what Gary Carpenter and Associates is known for.
Very cool. Are there any goals that you have for the rest of the year? Or?
Well, when you say goals, obviously there's always a business goal to grow.
Yeah.
To grow. Okay, there's always a feeling of growth. And actually, I have a goal.
What's that?
In the next, not a year, 2 years from now, Patty, my wife, may be retiring.
There you go.
part of retirement is she's going to work part-time probably for the company she would, which is one of my clients. And the other part, she'll either work for Kelly at Helping Hearts or for my company.
There you go.
So what I'm looking to do is bring Patty into the fold in the future.
Yeah.
That's not a today situation.
Yeah.
That's a couple of years from now.
Yeah.
But from a standpoint of what my business is doing now, I think it's important for me and my team to be up to date on all the changes so that nothing hits my clients by surprise. And that's what they retain us to do.
Yeah. Yeah, which is super important. It's also, I feel like, one of the reasons why I've been successful at this point is just being able to stay with the times. And every company realistically has to do that. And if you don't, then it's going to be rough for you.
Yeah, but Tom, I don't know many companies that use drones.
You're 100% right. You're 100% right. But staying with the times is very important. You know, like my grandfather tells me, never stop marketing. Even if you run out of products completely and you have to back order for the next 6 months, you still don't stop marketing, because if you stop marketing, then people are going to think you're closed.
And Tom, there's one word for that: re-engineering.
Yeah.
Re-engineer. If something dries up, and that could happen, re-engineer. Come up with something else.
Yeah. Gary, this has been really good. You're a wealth of knowledge, as I have been told over the years. But that's really, really, this has just been amazing, this podcast. I'm super happy we've been able to do this. I've been trying to get Gary on here for a few months, and we finally were like, all right, let's make this happen. So
because you gave me lunch.
Yeah, exactly. I bribed him a little bit. But if anybody wanted to, like, let's say someone watched this podcast that had a, in-home medical service-based company or whatever, if they wanted to reach out to you and ask you questions, where would they do that?
Basically, very simply, Gary Carpenter and Associates, Inc. My email address is gpccpa14@gmail.com. I'll repeat, gpccpa14@gmail.com. My cell phone number is 631-786-0915. That's 631. Oh, take that back. That's Patty's cell phone. Delete that. My cell phone number is 631-258-5478.
There you go.
That's 631-258-5478. But Tom, for your listeners, it's not just business of home health. If there's a medical question,
even MS related,
especially on MS, contact me.
I mean, I feel like we didn't even go heavily into that, but you kind of did a little bit. But Gary is heavily involved with the MS Society, and obviously, yes, we've kind of gone through. He's been dealing with this, and I've met many people that are involved in his community, and they all talk very highly of him. So if you are struggling with this, I definitely recommend reaching out to Gary.
And Tom, I failed to mention my background with the society. I'm the former chairman of the board of the MS Society for Long Island. Okay, today, my role is I'm the chairman of Long Island activities for the MS Society. It's called the MS Long Island Council. I am very involved in that world, and probably the best thing, when a person calls me up, and Saturday, Tom, this just happened this past Saturday, a family came up to me and said, Gary, we'd like to speak to you. Obviously, it was raining. Okay, we couldn't speak at that time. But their daughter just came down with multiple sclerosis, and they don't know how to deal with it. We're going to speak, but more importantly, we're going to talk about the doctors that they're using. Okay, because I'm well connected with the doctors, and I could guide them the right way. I am not a doctor, but I know how to deal with it in real life. So that's that's what I get the most comfort for doing. To me, that's success, Tom.
Follow the winners with Gary Carpenter, right? That's it. I mean, as you know, you are a, I only ask people on this podcast if they're considered a winner to me. So you are considered a winner, and I started this podcast because I was told always to follow the winners in life. My grandmother told me and my mom told me, and it's been it's changed my life the more I actually point out winners and really start going after them, and start pushing away all the losers that I had in my life, all these people that I was, asking for advice and looking up to and getting zero response from. And you meet people like yourself that are more than willing to help you out, and it's amazing.
And keep in mind, Tom, the best people in your life are the people that are connected with you. You got a lovely girlfriend named Brie.
Mm-hmm.
She's your right-hand person.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the people that are closest to you are, the ones that we can rely on and lean on and so on and so forth. So cool. Well, thank you, Gary. I really appreciate you doing this with me. This has been super fun, and learn more about you and your business. So yeah, thank you, everybody, and we'll see you on the next episode.